Okay. Good morning, good evening. Welcome to the call, no matter where you are in the world. Today we have our very special guest, Tracy Ternberg. Welcome, Tracy. Thank you very much for joining our weekly call. Much appreciated. The format is we normally interview a few people, and I reached out to you earlier on the week, and you obligingly said yes. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And we did have a bit of a chat yesterday. So I learned a bit about you, Tracy, which was fantastic. First of all, Tracy, we want to know a little bit about you. I've been following you for years in the company, and you set an example as a great leader. You have stood strong with this company from day one. So how did you get involved with Mirinda, Noni by NewAge now?
Yeah, well, it'll be. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, inviting me on your Zoom. It's always a pleasure to visit strange places in the world, even if it's via digital camera. But we started back in 2002, and by we, it's my mentor and my uncle Dale Maloney. He has since passed away, but we started in 2002, almost 18 years ago. And we came from another company. And I think the one thing that I really want people to know on the call is we had a certain set of criteria. We wanted a company, infrastructure, and, were they solid brick and mortar? We needed management. We needed a comp plan. We needed a product that was really, that could really do the business, right? And then we needed timing. And that timing thing was a little bit different because, you're saying, well, man, we joined 6 years after the company had started. But one of our criteria in the company part was it had to be 5 years or older for us. Now, Dale was the number one distributor in the company for 18 years. And so we weren't really looking to go anywhere when this company started. And I think I told you, we actually about 9 months into Noni starting, we got prospected, and the guy came in and he showed us his big check, and we're like, first of all, I was young. I was probably 24 at the time. And so to me, it was all about, I just looked at the size of the checks, and Dale's check was, 130,000. And this one was like 45,000. And I'm like, well, where would you want to be in an opportunity? Right. So it's pretty simple for me to say no. Looking back, man, it would have been a really awesome decision to join and be part of that explosive growth, but it just didn't fit our criteria. Our criteria is it needed to be 5 years old because we wanted a longevity program, a legacy program. And by legacy program, and that's something that you can share with anybody and everybody, but it also lasts generations. And Dale's been gone now for it'll be 4 years this summer. And his wife is still being paid every single month because of this business. And so this business is truly, it's a willable business. It's a shareable business, a saleable business. And that was very important to us. And so we joined on those criteria, and we just looked around and like, man, the final straw for us was the testimonies that we started to hear on the product. I'm going to be honest with you, it was really hard for us to find somebody that can explain the comp plan to us back then. Everyone was just like, just drink the juice. Just drink the juice. All you got to do, don't worry about it, just drink the juice. Mm-hmm. And we're like, it's not that simple, guys. It's like, no, just drink the juice. And so we just buckled down and started telling our story and started sharing the product with people that we knew. And it was so simple. We really just exploded 6 years in. Which a lot of people will say, wow, how did you do that? Well, listen, anyone can do that. It's just, you gotta put your nose to the grindstone and just go to work. And man, you could accomplish anything. And all that criteria that we talked about that I mentioned is stronger today than it was back in 2002. It's stronger, more solidified today than it was in 2002. We have more science. We have clinical trials. We have a solid company where, we're publicly traded. I mean, everything has been elevated from 2002 to today. that it's a more viable opportunity in my eyes today than it was back then.
What I love about your story, Tracy, like you said, that you were approached right at the beginning when Marinda first started back in '96, and you didn't join until 6 years later, and you've only had or been involved with just 2 companies in your whole network marketing career. And that is very impressive, I have to say, and I admire you for sticking at something and being, very due diligent in doing your research with this. And I think it's very rare, and that's why I really wanted to get you on the call, because the qualities that you set yourself and the bar that you set.
Yeah, I appreciate that. There's, I truly believe in making good decisions. And when I make a decision, I make it for my family. I make it for my team members. I make it for my contacts. Anyone that I'm going to meet in the future, I have to believe in something personally before I promote it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of things that I just can't do, because ethically, I wouldn't be able to build a company that I didn't believe in, that I knew was going to be gone in a year. And so for me to find that stability was there. And like you said, I've been doing this for almost 27 years. I'm 47 years old. I started in college. Dale kind of recruited me and got me to come in, and I was awful. I struggled. I failed. I sucked. I mean, I couldn't build a business when I was in my early 20s because it was so hard. I was so young, but I didn't understand. I was too proud and too stubborn to lean on other people for success. And by that, I'm saying I share people, borrow somebody's testimony, use them for 3-way calls, use them for, helping you close, use their credibility when you're young. And I'm telling you, it is the best thing that you can ever do in this lifestyle or in this industry. And so the thing, like you said, it's 2 companies. That's all I've been involved in my 27 years. And honestly, that's probably a pretty rare thing to hear out there.
Mm-hmm. I know that you would get approached, much like myself, with different opportunities every week. And you know that you got on a good thing and you stick to it, which is fantastic, because I know you would be presented with startups all the time, just like me. And the risk is 90% of those startups will not be around in 5 years' time. And that's reality.
Well, it's reality, and it's reality, and it's history. It is just the facts, and they look great, and it's like, I'm right now, I'm a couple hundred feet from a lake, and if you want to go fishing, you throw something shiny in the water, right, and the fish is going to come up and slap it. Just because it's the shiniest thing in the lake doesn't mean that's what you should bite on. And sometimes a lot of those opportunities, and I get offered them all the time, man, they're just not, they look really good on the surface, but if you break it down, you set that criteria like we did, it was company and product and comp plan and training and all those different things that we used. That was like a big thing for us. And those companies don't measure up. And I'll go on record here, because I've done it, my entire career. If I do something stupid and I get myself terminated from Noni by NewAge, I think I'll probably be out of the industry. And the reason I say that is because I don't know what would possibly match up that I can compare and be excited about, that I wouldn't compare to Noni and go, well, yeah, it was good, but man, that was so much better. I would have a very hard time. I truly believe we have the best opportunity, bar none, top to bottom, than anything else that's out there. And so for me, it'd be very difficult for me to do something else, because I can't get excited about other things like that.
And you're a big advocate for network marketing, obviously. I mean, you had a great mentor in Dale to show you that you can be very successful and do extremely well in this industry. I believe once you saw a few of his checks, and I think he was 180,000 was probably one of the biggest checks that he had. It's pretty hard not to say this industry works if you're prepared to do the work.
Yeah, so Dale, it was kind of funny. So here's my story, which is totally not traditional to everybody else. Most people are like, their 30s, 40s, they're out of options. They look to network marketing for a bailout. I was in college. I was going on to school I was doing my undergrad to go to be a chiropractor. So, a osteopath, depending on where you're at. And that was my thing. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to help people's health. I believe in chiropractic. And so I was getting my undergrad. And so Dale said, hey, I really need some help. I need someone to do this and do that. And I'm like, it's just not for me. And he goes, oh, you can go sell all this stuff to the Amish, which I don't know if you're familiar with the Amish. Amish, they don't use cars or electricity or anything like that. And you could sell it to them and you can make all this money. And I'm like, what in the world is he talking about? And he started showing me these checks, and I'm like, 60,000, 70,000. I'm like, this made no sense to me whatsoever. And, I just couldn't fathom it because it's like, who makes $60,000 a month that's not a professional athlete, right? And I'm in college, so that's like life-changing money. And so I got started, and I remember going to the bank, and I would take Dale's check to the bank and deposit it for him. And as I was taking mine, so here I'm taking my $1,200, $1,800, $2,000 check to the bank, and I'm looking at his deposit slip of $184,000 for the month, and I'm like, I just look at the checks, I'm like, how can I not do this? Like, how could I ever be a chiropractor and do all of the book work, the advertising, the clinic, the overhead, all of that, find the patients, and be able to make that kind of potential of an income and deal with insurance and everything else. It just didn't make sense. And so at the time, when I was filling out my applications to go on to chiropractic college, there was a whole slew, just tons of chiropractors that were joining our opportunity. And I'm like, why are they doing this? And there's this doctor from Texas, from Dallas, Texas, and he had the largest clinic system in Texas. And he's coming to our events, and he's like, I love this business. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is where I'm at. I want to be where you're at with all these clinics and be a successful doctor. And you want to leave that to do this. He was in the process of selling his clinics to come do network marketing full time. It just didn't make sense to me. I'm like, why is that? And so I started to think about it, and I asked him some questions, and it's like, man, the time freedom and the flexibility that you get with network marketing far outweighs anything you could do if you're a professional, if you work it and treat it like a business, far outweighs anything that you can possibly gain from doing a traditional thing. And so for me, that was the changing point. And I said, wow, this is going to be my career. I'm going to become a professional network marketer. And a lot of times I actually say I'm a professional Noni distributor, because I don't go out and jump company to company to company like other professionals do as they look for that next big score, So I love the industry, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
I want to talk to you about the NewAge opportunity, because now we had this merger with NewAge and Mirinda, which is now called Noni by NewAge. What do you think that impact has? I mean, I had a look at some of the background of Brett Willis, the CEO, and David Vanderweer, the CEO, Chief Operating Officer. Pretty impressive, I have to say. I know that David was part of Amway and took Excess Energy there and millions and millions of dollars worth of sales. And now he's part of our corporate leadership team. It's very impressive. And also we have Judy Galovic, I can't pronounce her surname.
Neither can I.
Chief Marketing Officer. So we've got some really high credential people that are now part of this opportunity. Where do you think this can go now with this merger?
Well, we're turning a page in our history, in our corporate history. Brent is a phenomenal visionary. I mean, that guy is so driven. If you ever get a chance to talk to him, you're just going to find out he is a very driven individual to grow this company beyond what we could have before. I mean, he's just driven that way. But he's put together his team, and Dave Vanderveen is coming in, and his experience is just is crazy. I'm going to have him on, working to get him on my Leaders Chat Live to really get into who Dave is as a leader, not just the COO of Noni by NewAge, but who he is as a leader in his history and in some of the things that he does with his podcast and things like that. because this guy, if you haven't had a chance to listen to him, he is such a phenomenal mind and a marketer. And then Julie came on board, and they're doing things that just look a little different because they have a different perspective. They're not coming from a 24-year-old history of what we were. And you look at companies like Apple, Steve Jobs started and then he left and then he came back, so it's like every company has a changing of the guard, right? And this new crew that we have right here is really exciting because their focus in a slightly different way is streamlining the system. See, if your story is confusing, you're going to lose sales. If you're too complex in your messaging, you're going to lose sales because people can't follow. You and I might be able to follow it because we're all in on Noni and Noni products, right? But to the brand new person that's never heard of us, they get confused really easy. And like, oh, should I take Noni? Should I do that? You give them too many options, they can never pick and choose. And so the simplicity of the marketing behind it, and I wish I could share a PowerPoint that Brent sent me. And honestly, he admitted that he shouldn't have sent it. He did it errantly, and it had some stuff on it. So we did a little NDA thing, and we're not talking about it. But the vision that he has for the NBEV, our stock, our company, is absolutely amazing of what it is. And there's two things that you can do to grow. And this is common business. You can innovate, much like Tahisha Noni did in 1996. We innovated, created this phenomenal juice, and this juice has gone around the world, and it's absolutely incredible. You can innovate that, which there's a component of luck and timing and striking while the iron's hot type thing that's there, or you can acquire. Those are the two ways you grow. You innovate or you acquire. And in Brent's philosophy is to do both. We're going to innovate, but we're also going to acquire. And that's when he led AB Bev, Anheuser-Busch Beverage, the largest beer company in the world, from where they had this smallest little Belgian beer company to a $50 billion company with his strategy. And he's taking that same strategy and he's bringing it here to NBEV. And then Dave is very focused on doing something that I love, which is really making the aspect of building distributor friendly, distributor centric. And so he wants us as field leadership to be running the show, so to speak. And so that's just it's a totally different philosophy. And so it's like, let's go on our best strengths and who we are as people, and let's move forward. And then Julie, I think Julie's done a fantastic job. I have not talked to Julie yet. She has been she's in product innovation meetings and she's just doing her thing. And I just haven't had a chance to talk to her yet. And I guess I haven't had a reason to.
I love the new website.
What's that?
I love the new website that the company's just launched. It looks phenomenal.
That's where I was going. I'm like, isn't that new website so simple and it's beautiful and it screams to me Paradise Noni. It just screams to me the power of Paradise. Just the way it's laid out and the look of it. It's not confusing. I think it's very simple. It's very direct. You can navigate it quickly and easily, and it transmits the information. That's part of the marketing that she's brought on. So I think right now, our management team is very strong, very focused, and I think we're seeing the benefits of that around the world.
And I just heard this morning of introducing a new program to buy shares from the company. I believe these shares are very undervalued quite at the moment. So there's an opportunity to be part of this growth. Now, if David can do the same thing, if Brent can do the same thing and take this to a, $50 billion company, a phenomenal, what can these shares be worth in another, 5 years time or whatever? So if you're an investor and you're looking at the share market, maybe have a look at NBEV. But the distributors have an opportunity to be part of that as well, which is fantastic. And
there's a couple different ways. You can obviously you just go out and call your stockbroker. You can invest and become a shareholder in your own company. Smart move. Very smart move, especially right now where the price is where it's at. And that's a thing, we're looking as a company to drive that to 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 a share. And, where it's at now, $1.40, $1.50, whatever it is where we're closed at today, is tremendous growth. And we're making the trends. Now, remember, I think it was 7 cents 2.5 years ago, or 11 cents a share. I mean, it was very, very cheap, not that long ago. And so our growth that we've had has just been tremendous. And so it's trending in the right direction. So number one, you just go buy. Number two is, there's programs which you can earn shares, become an equity holder by just building your normal business. So you're kind of double dipping the system, if you will. You're building your network and getting your commissions, but then also you're going to be awarded shares of stock that you can vest. Once you vest, they're yours. You can sell, you can keep, you can do whatever you want. So that's a powerful thing to me. But this is what I want to say to people, that I don't want you to get confused with the stock market, because things like COVID can drastically affect a stock. Now that does not reflect upon the growth of the company. Now here in the U.S., the last 2 months, we've had incredible growth, absolutely incredible growth, because people want Tahitian Noni juice, and when the immunity thing comes up and COVID is just all there, we got the science that if you drink Tahitian Noni juice, you can increase your immune system by 32%, your NK cells. And so those are things that people want, and so people are buying the product. So our sales were fantastic in March and in April. That doesn't mean that the stock's going to reflect it, because when the market dips, things happen, right? And so I don't ever look at the stock, and this because I lived this with our previous company. They were public, and sales would be up, recruiting would be up, everything would be going good, and then somebody decides to sell the stock short, and it's like, what? Why is the stock so low when it shouldn't be? And it doesn't mean the company's doing poorly. It just stock market's a completely different beast, right? And so don't get the two confused, but know a good value when it's there. And right now, I believe NBEV is a very good value buy. And I think if you're looking for a long-term investment, saying I'm going to buy this, I'm buying my own company, I'm part of it, I think it's a fantastic buy.
I just want to talk about your Leader Chat Live. We can see you in the top corner there of your screen there.
Yeah.
You've just set up this leadership. You've got some great guests coming on to the call, not just in network marketing, but all aspects of success. Can you just tell us a little bit about that for people that would like to listen to some of your calls, interviewing these fantastic people?
Yeah. So I started this thing called Leaders Chat Live. So you could follow us either at Facebook. That's where we go live. It's on Facebook Live. And if you want to just follow for information and who's guests and when we go live, if you're on Instagram, if a platform, if you go either place. Also brand new is youtube.com/Leaders Chat Live. That's going to be the archive place that all the chats are going to be housed and homed in a much more organized fashion than anything else. But I had this concept. I learned different. I had this incredible mentor, right, that I had unlimited access to. And we would travel the world and we go do meetings and say, hey, let's go get lunch or breakfast or dinner or cab ride or whatever. And we'd always be with another leader. And they how that is. If I came to Adelaide, you would probably drive me around and we go lunch and breakfast and stuff like that. And so I was very privileged just to sit back and I would listen to these two leaders chat. And Dale and whoever it was, they would just talk. Now, to me, a chat is different than a presentation. A presentation is like, I'm going to give you 3 bullets, boom, 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 boom. I'm going to hit all my points and tell you how to prospect, and that's the presentation, that's the training. And it's very clinical and very non-personable. It doesn't, it's just very like, do what I say, don't, just do this and you'll be fine. Where the chat was always different because Dale would say something and then whoever the other leader was would come back and go, well, what about this? And so they tweak it and they just have this conversation, this chat. And I got to sit there and just listen. And I would just like, I learned all of my stuff that all of the big things in my mind that I learned happened at the dinner table or lunch table or coffee table, not at an event or a training. I still did all that stuff. I still read the books. I still did all that to reinforce it. So I thought to myself, how do I duplicate that? And I said, let's do something where we just get two people and they just chat like you and I are right now. And we're just going to talk about stuff. We're going to talk about goals and life, and we're going to talk about business successes and business failures, and we're going to talk about business strategies that are important to building your network marketing business. And so I started this Leaders Chat Live thing, and we're only maybe 3 weeks old. We did our 7th chat this morning, and we've had the top business builders in Noni on so far. I mean, it's been absolutely fantastic. The response has been incredible. But what it really wouldn't matter if the response was good or bad. I personally have learned things from these chats, and that's the whole point. I want to learn myself, and we're sharing back and forth. And I tell you, it's been a lot of fun. So I would highly recommend go to youtube.com, Leaders Chat Live, like and subscribe, hit that bell so you get the notification of a new upload, and then join us. And right now, for some reason, I can't explain, we're doing them at 10 a.m. In the morning in America for some reason. That just happens to be when people are available. Because
Unfortunately,
I don't want to take people away from their actual business building, which is typically evenings, and that's when they can recruit and do their sponsoring.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's like 2 a.m. in the morning over here in Australia, so we've got to listen to the replay, which is fine. Otherwise, I would have stayed up last night and listened to it, but I knew I had a call with you, so that was a priority. Look,
I'm hoping next week we have an evening one, so just FYI.
Beautiful. Just finally, Tracy, the lifestyle. I think people really need to understand what network marketing can do, what Noni by NewAge can do. Can you just briefly tell us a bit about your lifestyle that you've had with this company? I know that you've got a beautiful family of 3 kids and a wife in Wisconsin. Just get a bit of an idea of the people, of what can be achieved in regards to lifestyle for you.
Well, I mean, everybody's different. Some people are all about the bling. They're about the fancy cars and the private planes, and you see those lifestyle pictures that you see, Rolex watches and things. I have a much simpler palette than that, and mine is I love experiences with my family. And by that, I love to, as a kid growing up, we did camping and fishing trips fairly locally. But we didn't travel. I never flew on a plane until I was 19 or 20. And my first flight was actually to Honolulu. So Minneapolis to Honolulu. My first ever flight was going to Hawaii. And, which is kind of a crazy thing to think about. And, this industry, because it's not just Noni that's provided it for me, but this industry has been such a blessing. I've been able to take my kids to events. My oldest daughter, who's 21, Avery, when she was in high school, she did a report for like how many states that you've been in or whatever. At that point, she had been in more countries than she had been in states in the U.S. I think it was like 17 countries and like 15 states. And all of her friends haven't left. They've never left the country. And so Avery had this, so that's just an experience and a life experience and an exposure to cultures from around the world. One place I've never been is Australia. Someday I need to get down to Australia, but it is on the bucket list. Matter of fact, my youngest daughter said today, said, "Oh, hey, when this whole COVID thing's over, tell them we're going to come visit." I'm like, you don't just fly to Australia. But the lifestyle, for me, is the time flexibility that you get. And so I've been able to spend a lot of time with my kids. I coach my kids in sports. I was able to be, really involved with the basketball program, the girls basketball program with my daughters. And so for me, it was very, very, very um, uh, a simple reward. That time freedom to make a decision, say, listen, I know it's Friday night at, it's 8:00 here Friday night, and I'm doing a Zoom call, which sounds like it's like, wow, you're working really hard. But I'll be honest with you, I did a live chat this morning. I did some work. We went on a 2-hour boat ride today just to go catch some sun, came back in, cleaned up, and then jumped on the Zoom with you. That's a pretty great lifestyle, right? And so, this company provides tremendous amount of money and security in that sense. But it's the time flexibility that really makes me smile and, keeps me happy, and it gives me the ability to share with my kids something that most parents don't have the opportunity to do.
Thanks, Tracy. Look, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the call. I'd love to have you back, and you can share some more strategies in regards to building your Noni My New Age business. Well, since there's no questions, Tracy, I'm going to call it a very, very good morning from Adelaide, and you have a wonderful evening with your family. Once again, appreciate you being on the call. Look forward to chatting to you once more and getting on your live chats and listening to some of your great interviews. So thanks again.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity, Tony, and everyone listening. Just commit, do your business. I will. Can I give one shout out quick?
Yes.
The Australian office, Sarah, herself and her team are fantastic individuals that really will go above and beyond to help and assist you in anything that you can and that you need to build. And Sarah's a good friend of mine. We've known each other probably for 17 years. She was over at the London office when I first met her, and she's absolutely fantastic. And you guys are very blessed to have somebody as awesome as Sarah down there in Australia.